Ladies and gentlemen, mostly gentlemen because not a whole lot of ladies watch my show, welcome to episode 5 of the DarkspiderDavid show. Pretty hyped up for this one. I got my Skittles. Trying out a new form of Skittles here. It's called Brightside, like that one fucking song. But it's pretty good. I'm just not a fan of the blue ones. They're the blueberry ones. According to the back of the packaging, it's the Paradise... Oh no, Paradise Punch. I was wrong, sorry. Paradise Punch. Not a huge fan of the Paradise Punch blue one. So I guess it's not blueberry, but I feel like there's some blueberry mixed in there somehow, and I'm just not a huge fan. It's not disgusting or terrible or anything like that. I'll still eat them, but whatever, y'all can have it. So let's go ahead and get started with the show because I actually got quite a few topics to really talk about that I'm excited to talk about. Before I get to that, however, I gotta get the plugs out of the way. Be sure to check out my social webs if you guys want to reach me on a much more personal basis by following me on Instagram and on Twitter at DarkspiderDavid. It's very simple. All you gotta do is just go on Twitter, DarkspiderDavid, DarkspiderDavid on Twitter and on Instagram. And of course, you could always contact me, whether it be in the comments below or even on a channel comment, which hardly anybody really does these days. But hey, you could still do it. The function is still up, unlike annotations, which are now gone on YouTube. But you can always reach me here on YouTube in the comments below, or in the channel comment section that you can actually rediscover for yourself now by visiting my channel on there. You can click on the little discussion page that you can see there next to the videos. And while you're there, feel free to support the channel by hitting the subscribe button to look out for more episodes of the DarkspiderDavid show, as well as many other reviews coming up very, very soon, including Spider-Man Homecoming, which I am in tow to do as my next review, or my next video in general. So look out for that by hitting the subscribe button below and show your support that way. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started with the show. The very first thing that I wanted to talk about, and I actually got to bring up the trailer here while I start to introduce it, is that so, you guys know how much of a big proponent I am of Marvel, whether it be in the theaters with the new Marvel Cinematic Universe with the movies, including the one that we got coming out right now with Spider-Man Homecoming. But what Marvel also excels at, that is just a wonder to behold by how great they are at being able to excel at all fronts, whether it be the comics or the movies, is also the TV shows, something that we didn't exactly think as fathomable, fathomable, that's the word I was looking for. God damn, I suck. But fathomable was that Marvel can produce TV shows, and they kind of started things off with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I mean, I know that there's been other TV shows, whether it be animated or real or whatever, but it was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. that was part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe that kind of kicked things off for TV. Even before Netflix, before we had Daredevil, whatever, it was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And then from that point on, they explored their options with Netflix. We have pretty much all the Defenders having their own show, leading up to the mashup of the Defenders, which comes out in August, which I'm really excited about. And now, the next foray into television from Marvel that they kind of have up their sleeve that they're hoping to explore this year is one that's actually rather controversial, especially now that we actually got a full, I guess it's more of a teaser trailer because it's a little under 2 minutes, but they got this full-on teaser trailer for Marvel's Inhumans. A little bit of a backstory behind this development here, this little property, at least for the TV show. Let me go ahead and we'll look up real quick the Wikipedia page for the actual Inhumans, because the Inhumans, I did not know anything about the Inhumans. My main introduction to the characters, or at least to the species of characters, was in fact through Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they kind of paved the way for what the Inhumans are all about, because it's in that show where they have the Inhumans and you actually have one of the main characters be an Inhuman, and that was always cool. And I love that they were able to weave that mythology within this universe, as well as tackling the events that have transpired in the Avengers movies or in the standalone superhero movies that kind of sort of intertwine. But lately S.H.I.E.L.D. has been doing their own thing, and honestly they've been excelling at that, at just tackling that. But now we got Inhumans, the actual Marvel Inhumans TV show, and let me see if I can bring it up here. It's raised some eyebrows, but for wrong reasons, and a little bit of a lead up to this project. Not so much the Inhumans, because I already mentioned that they were this part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is a fictional race of superhumans that were known as the Inhuman. The comic book have focused specifically on the adventures of the Inhuman royal family, and associate the humans with this particular team of superpowers, and they are kind of sort of in the realm of the Fantastic Four cosmic corner of the universe for the Marvel comics, but now they've been incorporated into Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and now they're going to have their own TV series and whatnot. And they're very intergalactic, Jack Kirby style type of characters that have always been kind of out there, and now they're bringing them over to the MCU only on a TV show format. And before I kind of went off on my little tangent there, is that it originally was not going to be a TV show. This was actually going to be a legitimate movie, Marvel's Inhumans. However, this movie was going to be slated for, like, I think 2019 or 2020. And over the course of time, I don't know if there was some debate or some issue happening behind the scenes, but one day came about when they announced that this was not up on the slate of movies that were coming on Marvel's template. Like, they just said, you know what? We're going to have to postpone Inhumans for another time, because it had a legit date, like month, date, and year, along with Black Panther, Captain Marvel, the sequels, including Spider-Man Homecoming 2, whatever it is it's going to be called, New Avengers, or whatever the hell. They had so many stuff set up, including Inhumans, with stone cold solid release dates, and then all of a sudden they're like, okay, Inhumans, we're gonna have to kind of take that out, and we'll let you know, we'll update you with whatever it is that we're gonna do with that property. And we were thinking, okay, is this the first time that we're hearing that they're canceling a movie and they're just like not gonna do it? And now it got ported over to becoming a TV show, or more specifically a TV miniseries, because if I'm not mistaken, this is just gonna be a one-time thing. It's gonna be a series of, I think, 8 episodes or 10 episodes, one of those two, like between 8 or 10 episodes, something like that. And it's only going to be the one solid series. It's not going to be like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., where you can get a second season or a third season. It's just going to be like that. Basically what Agent Carter was originally going to be, but then it got popular enough by the skin of its teeth, unfortunately, through the ratings and whatnot, that they managed to put up a second season. Unfortunately, the ratings were not strong enough to have it come back for a third season, ending in a cliffhanger that I'm still kind of pissed off over. But Marvel's Inhumans is just going to be a TV series that's going to premiere in, and this is something that I will admit is just slightly gimmicky. It's being filmed with IMAX cameras, so you got the really large scale aspect ratio, and along with that, it's going to be premiering early in IMAX theaters on September 1st. I think they're only going to show like the first 2 episodes, definitely the first episode, but they might include the second episode. And then literally 4 weeks later, on September 29th, the show is going to start airing on September 29th on ABC. And also, a slight detriment to big Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fans such as myself, this means that we have to wait just a little longer to get Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because they're going to be doing this first, and then Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5, which means that we're going to have to wait a whole another, 10 weeks, or like 2.5 months for S.H.I.E.L.D. to return. So we're not seeing S.H.I.E.L.D. until fucking November or something like that. So that sucks. What could suck even further is if this show is not very good, because that leads to the second controversial thing that happened with the Inhumans TV show, is that before the fact that it got transformed into a TV show is one that you're like, okay, hopefully this doesn't mean that they don't know what to do with the property, that it started off as a movie, now it's a TV show. Now we got this trailer, and oh boy, the trailer does get a little worrisome, because I see an awful lot of things that don't look terrible, but they look kind of bland. The camera work and the cinematography don't look all that great. I mean, S.H.I.E.L.D. is doing much better work now these days. They have crafted it, and I understand that S.H.I.E.L.D. wasn't exactly the best thing in its first season, but you actually started to see a transformation even within its first season after it introduced the Hydra twist that was tied into Winter Soldier. This is a standalone TV series that's only going to be a one-off. We're not going to see a second season, so there's not going to be that opportunity. This is kind of like the make it or break it type of thing. So it's possible that maybe if they don't win me over within the first 2 episodes or so, I might not be inclined to really watch this, especially when your trailer. Okay, you know what? Here's the one thing that I will say about this trailer. The one overall judgment that I will make: this was not finished. This is a completely unfinished trailer using footage and material that was not completed. This shit was rushed like a motherfucker, because A, the editing is bad. It starts off kind of promising, and it's almost like somebody was falling asleep at like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning trying to edit this, and the deadline was like the next morning. They're like, fuck it, just put it out there. And on top of that, you can't start off a trailer with a stock image of the planet Earth. Okay, I'm sorry. You can't do that, because that's what we got going on right here with this first Inhumans trailer, where it starts off with a shot of the Earth, but you can clearly tell this is like a Google image. Like, it's the first thing that pops up on Google image. Is like, you type in planet Earth. This is the first thing you see, and then secondly, you see the same kind of thing going on with the moon. And then you got Black Bolt's character getting betrayed by none other than a Game of Thrones actor, of course. And, you know, here's where the promise kind of starts to seep in a little bit more, but then the more it goes on, the more it starts to realize that the Game of Thrones actor, whose name's kind of tough to pronounce, Ion Rayon, something like that, but he's playing a character called Maximus, who's planning to overthrow these characters. He's the only one that's talking, with the exception of this other dude who kind of looks like Donnie Yen's little brother. With the exception of him, I see no human interaction. No, like these days, in order to create a really good trailer for a TV show that is barely starting, you know, so you're not dealing with like a second or third season like The Walking Dead is able to kind of get away with, because at this point they're at season 8, they're popular enough. With a show like this, you need to have a good trailer to have all the right elements to hook you and make you go, okay, when does this premiere on TV? I want to check it out. This doesn't have it. This doesn't have it. The biggest hook it's got is an oversized bulldog, which looks charming. He looks cute, albeit the CG is a little rougher on their edges, but it's not, you know, it's not terrible. And then as the trailer proceeds, like I said, we got these really weird cut together shots. We got Black Bolt with a GQ suit on, running, and then we have a random shot of a rifle in the middle of a forest. And then to top things off, we got those goddamn sound effects. Those stock sound effects when Black Bolt is getting beaten with by the police, and you get that really cliche when somebody gets punched back from like the 1980s. What is that shit? And then you cut to him having a grunt, and it throws the car, and that's how you end up your trailer. It's awkward. You know, it just doesn't feel like it flows well. It's a very bad trailer. It really is. Sadly. And I don't know how to feel about this, because I was actually kind of excited for this show, because it's Marvel, you know. It's very hard to not trust Marvel, but after this and Iron Fist, which I'm currently watching, and truth be told, Iron Fist, I don't think it's that bad, but it's one that I'm glad I was warned prior of it having this very slow pace where, oh boy. But strangely, I'm not hating Iron Fist. I'm not. I'm okay with it so far. Like, I don't feel like I could be wasting my time, you know. Yeah, I don't have the feeling towards Iron Fist like I did with Gotham, where I'm like, oh, I'd rather watch something else. No, but I'm truly recognizing that even Luke Cage was better than Iron Fist. And Humans, I don't know, man. I don't know. I really don't want to think that Jessica Jones and Daredevil were lightnings and two different variations of lightning caught in two separate bottles. Because, oh, and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., of course. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Daredevil, Jessica Jones is where it's at, and then everything else is like, ooh, did we have some kind of switch going on over there in the TV division that needs to be refined? Because this trailer does not really do much to invoke any kind of hope for the show to be good. But still, I'm going to try to remain optimistic. September 29th, because considering what I just saw in the trailer, I really do not see myself putting in the work and the money to try to find the nearest IMAX theater that's going to be showing the trailer. And yes, if you're hearing booms in the background, it's fireworks. I'm actually currently filming this on the 4th of July, and I live in a town where fireworks are legal for some fucking reason at 3 in the morning. I mean, it's not 3 in the morning right now, but the week leading up to July 4th, it's been happening like that. Yeah. I'm sorry, but 4th of July, I just feel like it has been ruined by humans. This is not fun anymore. Anyways, that does it for that topic. I'm sorry to go down that tangent, but that's where I'm at. Now, really, really quick, because I didn't really feel like doing a separate video to kind of talk about this. I said, you know what, I'll just save it up for the show. Baby Driver. Finally saw the movie, so I'm going to be giving a little mini review here about the film, because I don't want to get too much into it, because it's part of the show. I got to move on to the next topic. But finally saw Baby Driver. It was actually one of my most anticipated movies of the year, that is also, in a way, one of the most important movies of the year. it's a movie that really needs to be supported. Even if you think that it's good but not great, and you prefer other Edgar Wright movies like myself, who I honestly, that's how I walked out of the movie, thinking that I really, really liked it a whole lot. It's a very enjoyable movie. Definitely one of the highlights of the year so far, but I will say that this is the type of movie that will go in my bottom 5 of my top 10, and if better movies come out over the course of the rest of the year, which we are officially in the halfway mark, then this movie can actually take a few notches. It can be taken a few notches down to like the honorable mentions, because even though I really enjoyed this movie, I really liked it, I still kind of have this feeling like, okay, it's time to bring Simon Pegg and Nick Frost back into the team, the writing team and the acting team, to try to bring back that element, that thing that is kind of missing from that Cornetto trilogy that I absolutely adore. Because it was them that kind of brought this other thing that really made things much more kinetic. Because I really liked the movie, but I walked out telling my girlfriend that my favorite things about the movie were all in the first third and the last third of the movie. The first act and the third act of the movie are absolutely great. The way it starts off, giving you the sense of the character of Baby, along with the people that he rolls with, or the people that he doesn't want to roll with, but he kind of has to, along with what exactly makes him tick, what makes him an awesome driver, and him going on through these heists that even interchange with some of the characters so that you can get a gist of who these characters are. From Jamie Foxx's Bats, who's probably one of the best villains that we've seen in the movie by some time, that's not associated with a big Marvel or comic book type of adaptation, which is the reason why I was saying that this movie is really important. Is that it's one of the biggest movies to come out within the summer season that's not based on a comic book, that's not a sequel, that's not a big adaptation of any kind. It's an original film that does pay homage to some of those heist movies from back in the day, like, or not even heist movies, but car related movies that are all about the racing and the tricks that you can do, like Bullet and the Italian Job, French Connection, all those type of movies that it's paying homage to. But at the same time, it's an original project. It's an original work of art that needs to be supported. Because, oh my god, I love that I went into this theater without thinking, okay, this is based on a Marvel property or a DC property or whatever. It's a sequel, whatever. It's not. And that was really refreshing to me. And one of the things that this movie has kind of like a one leg over all these other properties. So that's always a big thumbs up. And that's how the movie started off with, feeling fresh and new. And it has that kinetic vibe that Edgar Wright is always able to bring with these jokes that always land. But it's through the second act where it starts to take an angle for the romance that is... And I'm about to sound like a brutal bastard here, but it was just a little too cutesy. Just a little too much with him and Lily James's character. I'm forgetting her name, Deborah. Her character, as they develop their romance and how they intertwine and whatnot. Even though we had moments when Baby would go back to the people that he has to work with, like Dog, played by Kevin Spacey, who's terrific in this movie. Everybody, not one single person gives a bad performance in this movie. That's how good Edgar Wright is able to work with actors, because everybody's at the top of their game. John Hamm, okay, almost everybody. Because in the second act, it's also when another little element that I really did not like kind of becomes a little bit, it kind of has a bigger stay in the plot. And that is John Hamm's character's girlfriend, Darling, played by this Mexican actress whose name is something, Isla Gonzalez, I think was her name, or something like that. I mostly know her because my girlfriend absolutely adores her for some reason. She was in a bunch of telenovelas back in the early or mid 2000s or whatever, and that's where she grew an affinity for her. And she was kind of annoying me. I don't know, there's something about her character and the way that she was portraying her character that is just so routine. Like it just plays that Harley Quinn type of character, but it feels like a knockoff. And she doesn't bring anything new, and she doesn't do anything interesting, and she's just kind of there, and she has like this like look on her face. I don't know. There was a song about her that was bothering me, and it broke my girlfriend's heart because she was loving her, and I was just like, babe, I just couldn't vibe with her. I couldn't, and she becomes much more prominent in that second act, along with the cutesy stuff that was happening with Baby and stuff. That again, I don't mind because they did have chemistry together. I did like them with the two of them together, and the way that she kind of becomes involved with this plot, that because I liked her so much, seeing her in jeopardy, I was like, okay, yeah, cool. But I don't know, I just couldn't get a 100%. As hard as I tried, I couldn't get 100% with the second act. So then when the third act comes around, and then Edgar Wright goes full Edgar Wright, where without spoiling anything, let's just say that he does that thing that he sometimes does in movies like Hot Fuzz or World's End, or actually all of the Cornetto trilogy, and even not so much Scott Pilgrim, because it stays out 100% throughout the whole movie with its video game stylized look to it. But with those 3 movies that I just mentioned, the Cornetto trilogy, Edgar Wright always kind of goes a little bonkers in the third act, where like people start dying, people you didn't expect to die all of a sudden die, and you're like, oh shit, you know, I at least let me say goodbye to them, and you're like, no, look, boom, back on, and just shit starts flying. That actually starts to transpire in the third act for Baby Driver, and I'm like, yes, here's the Edgar Wright that I was longing for during that second act to kind of come back, and he finally does. Thankfully, ending the movie on a high note for me. So, Baby Driver, definitely liked it. Definitely a movie that is on my top 10 right now for the year, but it's one that could be popped off if better and bigger and better movies come out for the remainder of the year. Especially, let alone for July, because all of these early reviews, we got Spider-Man Homecoming, War of the Planet of the Apes, and even on the smaller scale, we got movies like The Big Sick coming out, and all of them are getting all these rave reviews, and I'm like, shit, I don't know what to do with myself here. But Baby Driver is definitely a movie that I encourage you to see, not only because it is a very good movie, a very enjoyable movie, but it's also a very important one because we need to support much more original work like that. As much as I love the next Marvel movie to be good and all that stuff, or like movies like War of the Planet of the Apes or whatever, with all the sequels and reboots and stuff like it to come out, to see something like Baby Driver come around, or even a movie like The Big Sick, which I would love to see in my theater if they were to put more indie movies up on there, then I think that we should support more and more movies like that, because we need to. We really need to. It's to keep that whole art alive. We need to keep supporting movies like this. And now, lastly, the last topic that I want to tackle is actually more of an opinion piece, because I'm not really talking about anything specific. It was a little bit slow on the news side, but I felt like really briefly to touch upon this. I personally believe, and this makes me rather sad, I personally believe that home streaming is killing the movie theater industry. And I honestly, I think that's actually a little bit of a good segue to kind of come off of what I just said about Baby Driver, about encouraging this style of movie to keep the aspect of going to the movie theaters alive, to encourage much more original work like this instead of sequel after sequel after sequel. And the reason for why this theory or this topic kind of popped into my mind is because the other day I was at work and we had the TVs on, obviously, and they have run commercials and whatnot. And I saw a commercial for the home release of Fate of the Furious. The Fate of the Furious comes out on DVD and Blu-ray, I believe today or next week or something like that. Point is, about a week or two ago, it came out on digital HD. So even though you can physically own it, you can own it through like codes and stuff like that. Legally, obviously, legally you can own it on your computer or whatever, with high quality, high Blu-ray quality, HD quality, whatever. Home release, that's considered a home release. Even if it's digital HD, it's considered a home release. The movie came out in theaters on April 14th? April 14th. And then literally not 3 months later, it's already coming out on home release. Sorry. Already? And I believe Logan was the same way, where it's like not even 3 months and it's already out on digital HD. We got the Blu-ray, we got the DVD. What's happening? Why are we getting home releases coming to home very quickly, where it's almost like, okay, do I really need to see the movie in theaters now? Because on the one hand, we got all these early, and I'm speaking solely for my specific case as a YouTuber, movie reviewer, not an official one because I don't get the press screenings, but one that tries hard to be part of the common folk who go see movies on a Thursday night, paying out of pocket to see the movie and hopefully bring the review first thing on Friday morning or first thing on Friday, at some point on Friday. It's something that kind of makes me feel like little by little the industry is morphing into something that is killing my hobby and killing my enjoyment out of the movie industry, or out of the pastime of going to go see the movies, because everybody still has their pastime in tow. Like it's still kind of held together, whether it be something that's related to sports or something, I don't know, something that they can watch at home. But then again, there you go, watch at home. My pastime was to go to the movie theater, because for the longest time I would consider the movie theater to be my sanctuary. I would be able to walk into the movie theater and not think about my problems. Now I feel like that's being kind of taken away somewhat, because a couple things. One, the movie theater experience is not at all what it used to be because of the development of technology, people pulling out their phones, being incourteous, whatever. Then we got this rapid process of putting out the movies on home release, like literally just 2.5 to 3 months after the movie theater release, that it's like, okay, it's gonna be coming out in that amount of time, what's the point of even seeing it in the theater? And that's the mentality that an awful lot of folks are kind of adapting, so they get so used to watching these movies at home or in a live streaming sort of way, that when they have the occasional instance where they go to the movies to watch a movie in the theaters, they still think that they're at home. And that's when we get the people that are incourteous and are rude. They're pulling out their phones, they're kicking the seats, they're thinking that they're fucking in charge, even though they're not. You're in a public fucking place. Along with that, you got a much more specific situation with me, like I said, as a YouTuber, where, and I mentioned this before in a previous video that didn't really get enough a lot of traction, but hopefully you guys will catch it. If you go back, I did a video talking about how early screenings are killing smaller YouTube channels that are trying to break it into the movie reviewing business, such as myself. And that's because an awful lot of these big blockbuster movies, Spider-Man Homecoming, War of the Planet of the Apes, and earlier this year with the likes of Logan and so many other big Guardians of the Galaxy, whatever, these screenings are coming out so early and the embargo is getting lifted so early that all these big YouTubers, Jeremy Johns, Chris Stuckman, the Schmoes, they put up their reviews so fucking early that everybody goes and watches them. What's the point of watching us, the smaller guys? What's the point? So what's the point of doing the review? And then what's the point of going to see the movie in the first place if I know that the movie's going to be coming out in like 2.5, 3 months? What is going on? And again, what I was kind of counting on is that I could simply just go to the movie theater to have a good time, and little by little that's being stripped away. Whether it be with people being douchebags in the movie theater or the home media market, little by little withering away the movie theaters, because eventually people are going to be like, well, why am I going to go see the movie in the theater? I'm just going to wait until it comes out on DVD and Blu-ray, because now that time window is becoming smaller and smaller. 2.5 months? I remember back in the day, early 2000s, when the first Spider-Man came out or Lord of the Rings Two Towers came out, those movies would literally take like 6 months to come to DVD and video cassette. Yeah, y'all remember that? Video cassette. Yeah, so like 6 or even 7 months sometimes. And I don't know if they still do this. They might still do. I can't remember. But when holiday movies arrive, that are kind of Christmas centric, they would actually wait till the next Christmas to release that movie on DVD and Blu-ray. So you will get a movie coming out on either November or December that's, like I said, holiday related. It has some kind of theme wrapped around Christmas or whatever. And then, and especially if it's a family-oriented movie that's like PG, PG-13 or whatever, they will release that movie in the theater, and then they would literally wait until the following November or December to release it on DVD and Blu-ray. Remember those times? Yeah, they're gone. They're gone pretty much, and I just want to share with you guys just how fearful I am for the movie theater experience, because if you guys have any kind of affinity for the movie theater, if you guys feel that same way for the movie theater, where you can just walk down that aisle of the lights, open the doors, walk into this dark theater, find your seat, and just sit down and immerse yourself into this experience, if you love that kind of stuff, that's cool. But I really encourage you to appreciate it right now, because I feel like it's gonna go the way of the dinosaur. Because the times, they are changing, along with technology, the way society acts, especially people, because of technology, because of the surroundings that are morphing them. It's just, it saddens me. It saddens me, and it's actually one of the things that does encourage me to become a movie director, because I really do want to be a game changer. I really do want to make something that people are going to look at and be like, I need to see that in the theater. And I want to continue to preserve that art form and preserve that pastime. So yeah, you could say, maybe down the line I'll be like, I don't want to say like Martin Scorsese in terms of my work, because again, that has yet to be determined based on how much practice I do, how hard I work, all that kind of stuff, of course. But I mean in the sense that he obviously is a movie director, but he also does things on the side to kind of curate film to make sure that film gets preserved and all these other things happen, along with other big mainstay household name directors like Spielberg and Coppola and all of them. They try their best to do things on the side besides making movies to make sure that movies continue to live on and stuff like that, to continuously change the game. And then there's James Cameron. I'm just trying to be a roast here. So, that wraps up that topic. Before I make myself even more depressed, I'm going to move on with your guys' questions. I actually got a couple here. And, you know, one thing did come across my mind is that I don't think these people know that I do this show, and on the show I answer people's questions. So, maybe I'll start kind of like a trial run where I'll answer them on here, and then I'll answer them after this. You know, they can get their answers early here on the DarkspiderDavid show. And then later, I will, when I remember and I have the time, I'll go back into the comment section, type it out, and be like, hey, keep in mind, I do Q&A type of things on my show at the end of every show, so look out for that. But for now, I guess we'll just answer the questions both on here and on the site, on YouTube, in the comment section. So let's start off with the first one here. It was on my, where'd I put it? Oh, here we go. Rusty X 2010. On my Please Don't Buy the SNES Classic Edition video, he asked me, you gonna try to get an SNES Classic Edition? No. No, I'm not. Not only because, like I said, I'm trying to send Nintendo a message, I'm trying to vote for my wallet, but also because I'm in the minority that didn't grow up with the Super Nintendo. I grew up mainly with the NES, the original NES. Super Nintendo was more my brother's speed, and he's the one that grew up with that. He actually has an original one in his house, so I would not be surprised whatsoever if he actually tries to go out there to like a Walmart or a Best Buy or whatever, tries to get the SNES Classic. Let's see, what else do I got right here? Hold on, I could have sworn I had another one. I never play. Yeah, they're all mostly comments, but I did get a couple comments on my Spider-Man 2 Classic review, which an awful lot of you guys checked out. Thank you guys so much for the support. We're at now, I believe, 125 views, and it's only been a few days, so considering that that's the amount of views I got for a 37-minute video, a nearly 40-minute video of me talking about a movie that's 13 years old, I'm like, okay, you guys are doing it. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. So the first question I got is from none other than Spider Luis. I like your username, dude. Hey man, can you do action figure reviews like you used to do back in your old channel? I would love to. Don't get me wrong, I would love to. I would love to go back to action figures, doing them on a regular basis, but one, I am a little bit on a budget, especially these days, because of how expensive figures have gotten. I've said this time and time again, I don't think I can bring myself to pay $15 to $20 for a deluxe class figure in the Transformers line, or again, the same price, like $15-20 for a 6-inch Marvel Legends figure. Especially when I grew up in that time where they were charging like $10 for those type of figures. And back then, that was good. That was like tolerable. Like that was cool. Why couldn't you keep it at that? But of course, everything has to get expensive, especially when you raise minimum wage. And you also also on a much more governmental front, I guess you could say, plastic. The material that's used to develop plastic and whatnot becomes much more expensive to buy when it comes to manufacturers. Yeah. So it's become much more of an expensive hobby. I don't have the space, and I just feel like I'm getting through that bridge line in my life, like in my mid-20s or whatever, where I rather put the money in to try to better my career, kind of get my career started by moving to LA and trying to put my foot through the door of directing a movie and whatnot. I'm just not at the stage to be able to grab like a wave of figures and be like, okay, let's get all these reviews done and then little by little start pouring them out. I can't do that. At least not right now. Who knows? Maybe I'll start a Patreon. No, I won't do that. But imagine that, a Patreon, so that you guys can support my figure buying habit. Goddamn. Okay, this is more of a comment, but it's also a little bit of a request-ish. Ryan Howe asks on the Spider-Man 2 review, another well-done review. Thank you so much, Ryan. X-Men movies, maybe? And then Nick the King responded, I second that. I love the early X-Men films, especially X2. The score by John Ottman is amazing. It is. I second that as well. I second your second. And I will think about it, because like I said, the next one outside of the Spider-Man movies, The other movie that kind of gets overlooked a little bit, and I want to talk about it in much broader detail, would be the Hulk movie, Ang Lee's Hulk. Because that barely gets talked about or whatever. It's almost like a bastard son that even the MCU looks at and be like, oh, we don't want anything to do with that. So I want to talk about it. I do, especially since I, excuse me, I grew up with that movie. And honest to God, when I saw it for the first time, which is when I was 12 years old, I loved it. Since then, however, has my opinion changed? And I want to look back at that. So that's actually one of the reviews that I'm looking forward to doing much more. But for the X-Men movies, perhaps. If I have the time, maybe I'll tackle the first 2 outings by Bryan Singer and then the one by Ratner. Yeah, that could actually make for a fun review. So who knows? I'll keep you guys updated on that if I decide to do it. And then, of course, a question that goes without answering. But Film Shooting asked, will you review Spider-Man 3? Yeah, I think at this point that's kind of a no-brainer, yes. I'll review Spider-Man 3 because I did 1 and 2. Why would I not do 3? Okay, and that does it for you guys' questions. Thank you so much for watching this new episode of the DarkspiderDavid Show. Again, if you guys want to hear your guys' questions be answered, feel free to hit me up on Instagram and on Twitter at DarkspiderDavid. Especially Twitter. I try to post on Twitter as much as I can. Instagram, I'm kind of lagging it on it, actually. I don't know. I haven't been posting that much, but yeah, hopefully one of these days I'll change that. So, that does it for this episode. Feel free to support this episode by hitting the like and share button. It takes literally like 1 second to do so. You hit the like, and then you hit the share. And then you can also support the channel by hitting the subscribe button down below. You heard some of the questions here. Some of you guys want to see me review the X-Men movies, the early X-Men movies. Maybe I'll do that. But of course, don't miss out on any of it by hitting the subscribe button down below. Make sure that little bell notification is set to on so that you can get notifications up your ass. Or at least on your phone, and you won't miss a single thing. So that's awesome. It's a win-win for everybody. And hopefully within the next couple of weeks or months, even, I'll bring you guys those reviews. But not before I do my review of Spider-Man Homecoming, which is the next video I have set to bring you guys, so look out for that. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, at least if you guys watched until the very end. And I'll see you guys all later. Take good care of each other.